All right, good morning, boys. What's up? It's your boy Juan back with another trade recap. This is how I made $2,670 across all my accounts today. For accounts, I did not copy trade my alphas on this account because I previously lost these two trades, right? So I got liquidated. So I'm turned off. I have six accounts right now, but I turned off the alphas just for the sake of this video and only show you guys what ended up happening, right? I'm red on my alphas and green on all my lucid accounts. Okay, just to make that distinction, 2.6K on the day. Let's get right into it. Okay, I made about 600 or 700 per. Let's see, actually, where is it? Was it? No, not this. It was no, actually, on my leader, I made 832 and then 637 and then 600. So 600 per account, roughly, right? Without further ado, this was the winner. Let me give you guys a top down analysis into what I saw, what I took, and why I took it. I had an extremely bearish bias coming into market open, boys. Why? Because if we take a look at our session indicators, first things first, price swept Asia lows, these New York PM lows from yesterday, and these New York lows from yesterday as well. Previous days lows, Asia lows, London lows, and was literally we had a massive dump, right? From Asia and London, we really dumped a lot of points, right? If I am not mistaken, we dumped about, let's see, from London to New York, we dumped about 400 points, right? So I'm bearish on this PA, right? However, because we swept a lot of liquidity, as you guys can see right here, we did sweep all of this lows. I know price is gonna have to rebalance up, right? Do something like this, rebalance inefficiencies back up. Where is my path? Jesus. Here. Sorry about that. I know price is gonna have to do something like this, rebalance back up, and then if I'm bearish and my bias is correct, sell off to the downside, right? I know we're gonna have some sort of reversal after taking out all of those lows. Okay, boys? Pretty simple. However, what does price leave in this massive aggressive dump to the downside? A lot of bearish fair value gaps. We take a look at the 1 hour. I don't think I had anything on the 1 hour, just this massive void, right? But if we take a look at the 15, we have a 15-minute bearish gap. Take a look at the 5. It was mostly on the 15 on the 5. What do we have? We have a couple 5-minute bearish gaps here. We have one right here. We have one right here. We have one right here, right? We have a lot of bearish PD arrays on top of each other. Okay. On the lower time frames, 15 and the 15 and the 5-minute, we're clearly in a downtrend. All right, boys. My job is to align the lower time frames with the higher time frames. Zoom into the lower time frames and get a nice entry. Unfortunately, I did lost my first two trades and went in for a third trade, making some money. Right, boys? Here. Here is the first trade that I caught. Let's go on the replay button. Again, I had a bearish bias coming into market open. My first trade was at 931, right? Here, at 930. Market opens at 930, rallies to the upside, taps this 5-minute bearish gap right here, and as well as this 15-minute bearish gap, taps this imbalance right here on the 5-minute time frame, right? And we get a nice reaction from it, right? We get a nice reaction from it. We start waking down. Here is where I kind of went wrong. Didn't wait for candles to close. I kind of had a premature entry, but I'm not really mad at the trade because I would have taken it again. You see, this wick at one point was a body candle. I should have waited for price to close. Should have waited for more displacement down and then enter the trade. So I guess it was a premature entry. I need to always wait for candles to close. And let this be a point of reference and let this be an affirmation for you guys, right? A rule of thumb, always wait for candles to close because I entered here with like 15 micros and got stopped out. Lost the first trade. I said, cool. Price continued delivering to the upside. We actually ended up rallying up higher, right? Surprisingly, right? And then here is when I started to look for a short. ES and NQ were completely correlated, right? Why am I still looking for shorts? Well, number one, we have a crazy 1-minute CISD, right? We have this bearish candle closing below all of these previous candles right here. I am bearish on the higher time frames. I am bearish on the lower time frames. I want to see these New York opening low get taken. That's why I had it marked. We had this swing low, this data low right here for 901, and then we also had these 9 a.m. lows that we put up at market open. Okay, so I really wanted to see these low get taken and these low get taken, right? This was a very A plus setup towards these lows and these lows, right? 1 minute changing the state. I don't think I entered there, or I might have entered there. Yeah, I entered literally at this first displacement here. Honestly, not waiting for a retracement and got stopped out. Price seems like it needed to take out this internal high first, right? Put up an SMT here at this high. Wanted to take out this high first. It's all good, right? I got stopped out here. Again, both of these trades were a pretty good setup to me. However, what made it not so much of a good setup was my lack of patience. Should have waited. Wait for candles to close. Wait for not just displacement, right? This looks like a reversal pretty much. This isn't really how I kind of trade, so I kind of deserve those losses, right? Usually I trade continuations, right? So I'm kind of not going against my model, but I'm going against what forms my model, right? Which is displacement. We do get displacement here, but this is not enough, right? This is clearly not enough. For this to be more valid and for me to actually have these two trades be an A plus setup, this trade should have relatively gone lower, retrace, and then it's an A plus setup, right? From this point, without waiting for candles to close, is not so much of an A plus setup. Same thing as here, right? I should have waited for prices to come relatively, maybe even take out this low, right? Take out this low, retrace, and then we can go for the next round of liquidity. This would have been more of a continuation. What I did was entered at the top, which is not something I always do and never do, quite frankly, right? This was more of a high probable setup, right? Considering we wicked this 5 minute imbalance and then completely rejected. If, the timing would have been correct, my bias would have been correct, time would have aligned with my observation, we probably would have taken out this low immediately. It would have really been that bearish, right? Unfortunately, like I said, we did take out a lot of lows, right? We swept a lot of liquidity, so price, like I said, it needed to rebalance back up before we continued going down, right? But I was still very, very bearish on the overall higher time frame. What did I do? Get stopped out twice here. I'm still sticking to my bearish bias. I'm still sticking to it, right? At this point, I started noticing that my alphas were down. I started going on my trade sinker. I got out of the charts for a little, and I was like, okay, I'm probably done. And here is when I actually entered again. Okay, boys. You guys will see it any second. Here, price was chopping, right? Chopping. But I see that we are not taking out these highs, right? I see that we're putting up SMTs on Nasdaq and ES, right? Both of these were extremely correlated, right? Extremely correlated. I'm still bearish on this PA. I want to see this low get taken and these low get taken, right? So here is when I enter. Boom, right here, boys. I entered literally right here at this last retrace. Okay, I'm going to go on the replay button. Once again, right? So you guys see my exact entry here. So here, price starts displaying to the downside. I don't enter quite yet. I know we already wicked and we already kind of like had some chop here, right? But I know we could put up this SMT with Nasdaq and ES. Both look extremely correlated. I know we are inside a 15-minute bearish gap here that we are still respecting to the downside, right? Right about here. I know we are still inside bearish PD arrays. I know we're still inside bearish order flow, right? I know we're still inside this bearish OTE of this range, okay? So here is exactly and precisely when I actually entered. There, right here was my entry. Didn't give a fuck about a 1 minute retrace. Had my stops at 24 points, right? And here's how the trade went. Luckily, momentum and sellers and volume was in my favor, and TP got hit, boys. And that's how I made. That's funny. That's how I made $2,000 trading the Nasdaq this morning, right here. Okay, boys. On this short, 800, 600, and 700 per account. Pretty simple day. Pretty tough day as well. Honestly, not my quite ideal day. Not a one and done. Right. I would have loved to have a better day. I am relatively better at my alphas, but the bias was correct. This is the importance of sticking to your model. Okay, I went in for this internal low, right? For this internal low right here, ended up catching a little bit more RR, but ideally this low that I actually also wanted ended up getting taken. So again, I always will go for the most certain move, so I don't want to kind of like fuck around. And yeah, that's why my model is internal. My RR is not more than a 1 or 2, and that gives me a high win rate and a higher probability of my trade playing out. All right, boys. Without further ado, I don't want to make this video too long. That's how I made $2,000 trading today. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Continuation towards the next round liquidity, the model once again. And yeah, peace. Let's go.